and check. Well, got it. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I give people, hi, welcome. Hi, Carol.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. And I see Kimberly made it. Miss McClurkin Harris, is she there?
Yes.
Okay, hi. Yeah, look,
Hi,
glad
how
you
are
made
doing?
it.
Thank
Glad
you
you
for
made
the invitation. I'm changing
We'll
this.
get started. I'm just giving folks a couple of more minutes before we kick off.
Oh, no rush.
All right. Let me see. I think what I'll do is share the, I think I'm gonna share the agenda, then I'll stop sharing and then do it again for the video later on. Hopefully that won't cause too many problems in advance.
Do you want to put the link for the agenda in the chat box, and I can
Yes.
I can resend it every time somebody enters?
Okay, all right, let me do that. You know what? I have it on my hard drive. You know what? Hang on. I have it in Groups.io, but I don't have it. I don't know if I have a link that I could actually check. Okay. Let's see. Stop sharing for a second. All right, I'll do that. I'll do that once you start with your report. I'm gonna, okay. What time is it? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And you know, people will continue to join. We'll let them in. Welcome, everyone. So glad you could join us tonight. Let me just share the agenda. I did share it in our profile and we posted it. So we still have another, you know, another great round of discussions tonight. We're going to start out, Dr. Cohen is going to talk a little bit about, actually, this is not the agenda that I need. Oh, wrong one. Actually, one moment. Let me share the right one. And I'll keep going and I'll share the agenda. But we got, Dr. Cohen is going to talk about the graduation ratings that came out about a week ago and kind of where Seneca Valley stands and the progress that we've made as a school. Then we have Miss Kimberly McClurkin Harris, who's with us to talk about the NAACP Youth Council. And then after that, we have Christopher Gates, and I'm not sure if Carolyn will be joining him, but they'll be talking about the new wellness center at Seneca Valley and all the services that students will have available to them now that that center is open. Then I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that have happened with the NAACP Parents Council. And then I want to play a video that I tried to play at the last meeting, but I didn't have my sound set up and I was technically challenged. But Dr. Cohen and I worked it out. So I want to play a video of one of the AXO students, and it was a poetry reading that she did for Black History Month. And then we'll come back to Dr. Cohen. We're not going to make him talk too much tonight, but then he'll share a little bit more, you know, about, you know, just updates at the school, and then we'll close it out with any comments or concerns that you may have as a group. So Dr. Cohen, let me just go ahead and turn it over to you to talk a little bit about the graduation rate.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My apologies ahead of time for the sound of my voice. I've been fighting a cold. Thank God it's not COVID, but believe it or not, there were illnesses before COVID. And I don't know if anybody remembers way back before COVID, but that knocked me on my tail for a couple of days. So if I'm a little tough to understand, I'll try again. Ms. Johnson and I were talking a while back about our graduation rate, and you may have seen recently the school system came out with published the graduation rates for all 25 high schools and the district at large. And Ms. Johnson and I were talking, and I explained to her, I shared some information with her about how the graduation rate is calculated, and I also shared a little bit of what I hope was some valuable insight, Ms. Johnson, about some things that perhaps the person who's not in the day-to-day examination of data might not be aware of. And so we thought it'd be a good idea for me just to share first. And so not to bury the lead, I want to share first the good news. The good news is that our graduation rate is as high or higher than it has been in the last 12 years. What that means is that we are graduating a greater percentage of students in 4 years than ever before. We're incredibly proud of that. And I'll share some numbers with you in just a moment. This year, our graduation rate is 88.5%. That means that almost 9 out of 10 students at Seneca Valley graduate in 4 years. Now, on the one hand, that sounds really good, right? Because there have been times where our graduation rate has been as low as 70%, long before I got to Seneca Valley, but it's never been that way since I've been here. But there have been times where it's been significantly lower. But as a father of 2 children myself, I think 9 out of 10 is great, but I want more. Why is it not more? Why isn't it what's, Northwest High School, for example, had a 94% graduation rate. Well, Northwest High School is only 3.5 miles from Seneca Valley. Why is there almost a 5-point difference there, right? So I think those are valid questions to ask. And so I want to start off, again, not burying the lead, by sharing a little bit of information with you all that you may or may not be aware of. Graduation rate is calculated, and it's a complex formula. Ostensibly, what it does is it requires that we track every student who starts with us in 9th grade and finishes with us in 12th grade in 4 years without interruption, which means if you have a student who came to us in 10th grade, they've got to be factored out. If you have a student who went to live with an aunt in Atlanta for a year and then came back, they have to get factored out. If you have a student who requires a 5th year, they will count against your graduation rate once or twice. Because there's both a 4-year and a 5-year cohort. And so there's a whole process that the state goes through in determining graduation rate. It isn't determined in June when the students walk across the stage of graduation. It's actually determined in January of the following year. Why so late? Because you have a lot of students who graduate during the summer. You have students who go through credit recovery and regain some credits. And so it's not until January, early February, typically, that the state releases the graduation rate for the previous year. And so it's for that reason that we're sitting here now in March, just now talking about the graduation rate from 2020, 2021. So let me show a little bit of information for you. I'm sorry, one more piece of important information. And this, I think, is what surprised Ms. Johnson when she and I spoke. We have 2 programs that are centered at our school that house students who, by the way, we adore. We love having these programs. They're special education programs and ESOL programs, specifically our Living for Independence and our school community-based special education students, and our METS ESOL students who are newcomers to our country and are likely not going to graduate because they are going to age out before they have a chance to earn their high school diploma. And so we have those 3 programs, LFI, SCB, and METS, who have students who will never graduate in 4 years, in the 4 years traditional for Seneca Valley. The special needs students, they're actually going to receive certificates at the end of their high school career. Very successful high school experiences. They're working toward a certificate of completion. They're building their life skills. They're building their ability to move around the community and to engage in productive ways. And the MET students and our ESOL students with interrupted instruction, they're building their language skills. And in many cases, we're providing them career-centered, career-focused education. But they were, again, not intended to graduate within the 4-year, the traditional 4-year structure. The challenge, though, is even though they're not intended educationally to get a high school diploma, they still count against our graduation rate. And so by federal law, any student who enters Seneca Valley as a student, whether they're supposed to be a diploma-bound student or a certificate-bound student, is included in the denominator, the total number of students who could possibly have earned their high school diploma. And so there are some years where we have 3 students who automatically, from the moment they start with us, we know they're going to count against our graduation rate. And there have been some years where we have as many as 16. Now, as the school has been relatively small over the years, let's cut the average. 16 and 3 is 19. Let's say 10 students on average. 10 students could be as much as 5 percentage points off of your graduation rate before you even start, which means the most that a school like Seneca Valley could hope for is 95%. And I share that with you because I wanted to provide a little bit of context. That question about why is Seneca Valley at 88.5%, 89%, and Northwest is at 94%? Well, we have programs that automatically lower or increase our denominator and lower our opportunity to earn 100% graduation rate. So I know it's a lot of information, but I wanted to make sure I shared that with you to be transparent. Again, I'm not really worried about the number. We love our programs. We want our kids. We think we do great work with our kids. If we could never get above a 95%, I'm cool with that. As long as we're providing the best possible education for all of our kids. So I'm going to share my screen real quickly and just share a little bit of data with you. And then I imagine there might be some questions. Let's see here. So the first thing I'm showing you is a breakdown of our enrollment over the last 12 years or so. Why 12 years? Because that's when I became the principal of the school. I can't own the data that happened before I got to Seneca Valley, but I'm responsible for everything that happens from the moment I walk through the door as the principal. And so you'll see our enrollment numbers in the column B. We've gone from 1,317 students my first year here down to, we were at 1,181 students in 2018-19. And then we bumped back up. We're now at 2,069. We expect that next year will be around 2,350, and the following year will be at about 2,500. People always ask me for a breakdown of the demographics. This column is the percentage of students receiving ESOL services, percentage of students receiving free and reduced meal services. That's a conversation that we have quite often as a school. This is why you will often hear Seneca Valley referred to as a highly impacted school. Nearly 50% of our students currently this school year received free and reduced meal services. There is something called Ever Farms. Ever Farms, I think, is the more interesting number. Ever Farms is the percentage of students within your building who at some point in their schooling career received free and reduced meal services. So it could be this year, it could have been in first grade. And that number is closer to the mid to high 60%. And I think that's important for us as a school to be aware of as we program for students, because we know that there are many students and many families who teeter between the above and below the poverty line and require services. And sometimes they qualify for services, and sometimes they qualify for fewer services. But as a school, we have to make sure that we're constantly providing for them. All of that comes into play with the graduation rate because it speaks to the level of supports that we need to provide each of our students. A couple of other things I want to show you. These are our graduation. This is our graduation rate for the last 12 years. One of the things that I'm most proud of, so we're now at 88.5%, which is the highest we've been since I got to Seneca Valley. We went up 6.5% in the last year. And I'd be happy to talk with any of you individually or collectively about all of the things that we did to make that happen. We believe we'll close it on 90% this school year as a result of some of those actions. We're really proud of that. What we're most proud of, though, I think, is that if you look at our demographics, and I wasn't able to pull all of this information for the last 4 years in time for tonight's meeting. As I said, I was sick, but I can share with you that over the last several years, this number here, this is the African American Parent Council meeting, so I want to focus in on how our African American students doing. This number here has increased dramatically and stays in the high 80s to low 90%. Last school year, we had 91% of our African-American students graduating in 4 years. I draw that to your attention, so that would be this column here, because the year I got here, less than 70% of our African-American students were graduating in 4 years. And so I want to speak to that because you're talking about over a 20-point increase. And it's because of the hard work of our families, the hard work of our community, and the hard work of our teachers and staff. They've been very directed in the work they've been doing in an effort to make sure that the largest number of students graduate within 4 years. So that's the data that I was asked to share. What I'll do is I'll make sure, Ravon, that I send you some numbers so we can include it in the notes. I talked a lot just now and I threw some kind of jargon out there. So I want to stop and make sure, are there any questions? Is there anything that I can answer or speak to? Or something I didn't talk about that you would want to know?
Okay, looks like no questions. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions, Dr. Cohen. So that was a very good explanation. So if you can provide some of those numbers, I'll send it back out, kind of like you said, as kind of our summary of the meeting, and then that way people can take a chance. They can look at the numbers, or at least the summary, to see kind of where we are. So that is I didn't realize what you said. I didn't realize that if a child like starts in 10th grade or 11th grade, they don't count, even though they graduate from Seneca Valley.
Pardon me. And conversely, a student who stays a 5th year and then does not graduate will count against us 2 years in a row in terms of how we calculate our graduation rate. And so that's, again, I hate to break kids down into numbers, but the reality is they're important, right? Because they speak to a community about how well a school is or isn't doing their job. I'm very proud of what we've done. I'm very proud of the movement that we've had. And I will tell you, I think Ravon, this might have been one of the first things I shared with you when we first met 2 years ago. I am in fact most proud of the fact, professionally, of the fact that we have moved our African-American graduation rate as much as we have. 20 percentage points in that period of time is dramatic. And again, it's because of a lot of factors. We are not as successful. We have not been as successful. We haven't moved the needle as much with our Hispanic students. And that's something that we are hopeful, and not just hopeful, we're also planful, that we will see evolve over the next 5 years. We have a new plan in place that's making sure that we are not missing the boat with our Latinx students. So at any point, if anybody has any questions, as the reports come out, there's more reports coming from the school system. If you have any questions at all, any concerns, any celebrations, because this is cause for celebration for us, please let me know.
And then before I have you move on, one other question was, do you think COVID is playing into these numbers? Or are we going to have like some sort of surprise next year because of the last 2 years and just the uncertainty of the times? You think that if that was that in, was there any concern with that?
It's interesting. I think COVID, look, nothing good came out of COVID.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that students who were struggling with engagement were engaging in ways they never had before and are now coming to school in numbers that they haven't before. Our attendance rate's much higher right now, for example, than it was pre-COVID year. And so I think we're going to see some impact from COVID. Pardon me. I think we're more likely to see some long-term impact from COVID on, there's a significant learning gap that exists right now that was created over the last 2 years. We're playing a lot of catch up with students. We're working really hard to make sure that this year's seniors, for example, don't sacrifice anything because they were unfortunate enough to have lived through 2 years of COVID in high school. And so our teachers are doing a lot to make sure that we're filling the most essential gaps to make sure that our students are adequately prepared for when they leave. I don't think that there was an impact necessarily on the number, the graduation rate number. Although long-term, I think you're going to see an impact, maybe very long-term, you're going to see an impact on how we do high school and how we measure success in high school. I think we see some evidence of a shift in mindset at the state and national level that might impact things like graduation rate. Things like instead of a 4-year high school experience, we're seeing movement toward a 3-year high school experience with an internship or with an apprenticeship in the senior year, just as an example. So that'll change everything.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate that. And like I said, I'll get with you to see what information we can share with the group afterwards. And thank you. As you can hear, Dr. Cohen's hanging in there with us, even though he's got that cough. You sounded just fine.
Now,
So
I will tell you, I'm going to call out Mrs. Weidman because she's my friend and she's not going to have a problem with me doing that. Mrs. Weidman, can I see your beautiful face?
There she is.
Mrs. Weidman, you wrote me a private note. Would you like to share anything with the group?
Yes, and thank you. Hey, Miss Johnson.
Hi, Miss Wyman.
Yes, I'd like to say that you may stand a little corrected on that one, Dr. Cohen. I believe that there was some good coming out of COVID regarding our African-American and Hispanic students, in that it's not usual that they collaborate and do cooperative learning alone. They usually do it in groups, but they were able to, through COVID, work and learn and think more independently. Yes, more independent, which will help them in the future. They didn't have anybody to per se go to because we were in our homes. So they had to learn how to research, think independently more. And I believe that is a positive outcome for our African-American and Hispanic students. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yes, ma'am. And I think also one other thing that I think there's going to be a lot of research over the next couple of years on the impact. We've been talking a lot about things like blind grading for many years, asking teachers to grade papers without knowing who completed the papers, because we're trying to eliminate the opportunity for any kind of racial bias. And with COVID, that was far more likely to happen. And quite frankly, this is terrible. I hated being in front of a group of students and not seeing their faces. But so many of our kids had their cameras off that they were just students. It had nothing to do with their race, had nothing to do with their gender, and a lot of the internal biases, the implicit biases that people had towards each other, teacher to student, student to teacher, student to student. The opportunity for that implicit bias to have a negative impact was limited some. And so I think we saw some of that as well. So thanks, Ms. Weidman. I do stand corrected.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. As usual, Ms. Weidman, she's my go-to girl. And look, and I will actually move on because I don't want to hold our guests up. So now the next we have Ms. Kimberly McClurkin Harris. She's joining us to share information about the NAACP Youth Council. Now, we all know one of the main goals of this group, one area we try to focus on is advocacy, not only for the parents, but also for the students. So I asked Ms. Harris if she could, tell us a little bit about it, because I feel like it's kind of one of those jewels that kids just don't know about. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Kimberly, and let you share a little information with us.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Johnson, and good evening to Ms. Johnson, Dr. Cohen, and family of Seneca Valley. I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate the time that you've given me to talk about the Youth Council. In Montgomery County, there are actually 3 youth councils. I'm somewhat of the advisor of one, and I supervise the other 2. Most of them are over 40 years old in the county. We have two church-based youth councils, Fraser Family Christian Circle and Emory Grove. And then we have the one that I work with very closely is the Montgomery County, Maryland Youth Council, which is countywide. And I'm very proud to say that one of our former officers was from Seneca High School, Aiden Douglas. Dr. Cohen may remember Aiden. He was a treasurer, participated in AXO, and joined in 9th grade. So the youth council age groups include middle school all through high school. There is a college branch. So if you start in middle school, you can go to high school and then college. It's a training ground for the adult branch. So I'll just review some of our goals. We work to inform youth of the problems affecting African Americans and other racial and ethnic minorities, advance the economic, educational, social, political status of African Americans and other racial and ethnic minorities, stimulate an appreciation of the African diaspora and other people of color's contribution to civilization. And what we work with in all aspects is developing intelligent, effective youth leadership. And advocacy and activism is one of both of the main points that we work on. So to become a member of the youth council, either of the youth councils, it's $10 a year. It's a deal, you can't beat that. And you will become involved in community service as well as in activism. So when we work on projects like voter registration, letter writing campaigns, right now we are part of the program to ensure diverse and fair federal judiciary. So we're doing a letter writing campaign in support of Judge Ketanji Jackson. We're also working on addressing racial violence by supporting the need for national accountability and standards for police. Members of the Youth Council participated on the policing commission that Montgomery County had. And knowing the facts, we have workshops and webinars on what students should do if they are stopped by the police. We call it What You Should Know, how to be safe, how to protect yourself, and equip yourself with the tools to be knowledgeable. We have students who attend the state conference, which is in October, and then the national conference is will be in Atlantic City. So they have the conferences for the youth simultaneously as the adult branch. And we also are huge supporters of AXO. I saw your agenda. I know we've had a lot of students from Seneca Valley participate in AXO. And we encourage students and we volunteer, and that's on April 10th. So are there any questions? Now, how do you join? There are two ways. You can go online, NAACP.org, and then join as a member. And you want to join Montgomery County, and our number is 7722. Our unit, the youth unit, is 7722. But I also encourage all the adults to join the adult branch, which is 7022. And the adult fee is $30 per year. So are there any questions?
I had a
Hi,
couple.
Kim.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is
Hey,
how are you doing?
oh, excellent. This is a former youth council advisor.
I wanted,
Donovan's in high school now.
oh yeah, 9th grade. Yeah, I came in late, unfortunately. Are you guys still meeting at the Rockville Library?
Right now, since the pandemic, we've been meeting via Zoom, but we will actually do hybrid now that we have that availability, because more students from across the county have been joining our meetings since we're on Zoom.
Okay, and I apologize. I did just click in. Was there a link so that I could get more information?
No, but I will send it to Ms. Johnson to send out.
Okay, okay,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Yeah,
Good to hear
thank you.
from you. Ninth grade.
How
So
often do
her older
how often do
sons
they-
were president and treasurer of the youth council when they were in high school. I'm sorry.
No, I was letting you finish. No, I was just asking, how often do you meet? Is it once a month?
We meet once a month. And as I said, we also meet with the adult branch on certain issues. So we could meet twice a month. And then if we have activities, that too. But
Great.
definitely once a month.
Great. And yes, you can share, the link. I'll send that out afterwards, as information to our members.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the time. And any questions, please don't hesitate. Ms. Johnson has my email.
Yes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. So thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay. And we're going to keep moving on the agenda. The next item, we wanted to talk a little bit about the Wellness Center. I know we've all heard about it, but like I said, it is such an important addition to the school, to where we can't talk enough about it and all the services that are there. So we have Chris Gates. Is Chris here? Yes, he's here to share a little bit information with us about the Wellness Center. So I hand it off to you, Chris.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Yeah, we're so happy to be here. I see many of my colleagues from the Wellness Center on here. So I guess I can introduce myself real quick and then I'll let everyone else introduce themselves. My name is Chris Gates. I am the Wellness Center manager, and we're so happy to have just started. I think we started, well, we officially moved into the building like 2.5 weeks ago. It was like March 14th, I think. Been getting set up, really settling in. The first week was really just getting literally things set up, computers, things like that. And we're finally getting the swing of things. Today, for example, there was just a massive influx of students already rolling in, which was really great to see and a little overwhelming at the same time. But of course, really positive to just think that we're not even through our third week and we're already getting a lot of great connections and meeting a lot of fantastic students. And we're just so pleased and excited to be at Seneca. But I can just, like I said, give a little bit of time to have my colleagues introduce themselves. So I don't know if, Carolyn, if you want to jump in.
Okay, just really briefly, Carolyn Camacho, so happy to be here. I oversee the Wellness Centers for Identity, and this is a great partnership like Chris mentioned. And we're just so happy to be here at Seneca and really looking forward to doing great things together with Dr. Cohen and all his staff, but also with the Seneca Valley community, with parents such as yourselves and students, so that we're all working together to ensure that our students have all the support they need to thrive and to graduate from Seneca. So I'll invite some of our partners. Lex Morgan, would you like to introduce yourself, Lex?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Everybody can hear
Yes,
me? Okay, good.
Yeah, hear you just fine.
Okay, so I'm Lex Morgan, one of the partner organizations Emerging Triumphantly. Myself and my colleague, Ms. Tony Fountain, who's also on the call with us. We're going to be offering programming to Seneca Valley students, those who identify as female. We are offering Courageous Queens, and so it's open to all students, grades 9 through 12. They can sign up anytime. We're actually starting, our first workshop is going to be hosted next week. And so we're going to introduce the program and really kind of get to know the students. And then leading up to that, just continuing the outreach in the school. But we are absolutely thrilled to be there. We're building relationships already. It's super exciting. So so we're just super excited to be there.
Thank you.
I don't know, Tony, do you want to just introduce yourself real quick and explain your role at the Wellness Center?
Hi, I'm Tony Fountain. I facilitate the Courageous Queens program at Seneca with Lex's help. I haven't had a moment to share this with Lex, but our Image of a Queen workshop is completely full. It has been RSVP'd, it's completely booked, and we did this in 1 week's time.
Wow.
1 week. I had girls running up to me in the hallway. Oh my gosh, I want to sign up for her, for her program. So we're gonna actually probably have to sign on another workshop.
Yes.
These girls are uber excited about becoming a queen, and I'm uber excited. So any way that I can help be assistance, come on down, visit me, call me, email me, whatever. I'm just eager to, really get to know these kids. They are a great group of kids. I can see that already.
Wow. That is so great to hear about the queens. Hey, wait, you may have to have 3.
Yeah, and I think Joe Hooks, I think you're on the call if you want to jump in, or Brian.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I'm actually out here coaching the youth at Montgomery Village Sports Association. I'm the head coach of a 12U football team, but I wanted to hop on. I know Brian McNary's on the call with 40 Club. I'm really glad to be here, glad to be part of the family. Met some of you all before. Thank you again for inviting us to this meeting. One of the partners with Identity, been there with them for about 4 years. Also had an opportunity to work with Lex Morgan. So we have a great team that are ready to serve. We've done some great kind of relationship building going on right now. Brian could talk to you more about that, but we've connected with, the Books for Brothers, Dads for Duty, some of the security team, some of the teachers. Thank you, Ms. Weidman. So we're just really happy to be a part of the team and really starting to build Dare to Be a King. It's a Dare to Be a King. Dare to Be a King curriculum. We're looking to do some stuff with some of the athletes just to get started before maybe spring break. But yeah, that's pretty much the start. I'll let Brian kind of take it off and introduce himself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Mcnary, part of 480 Club. I'm a youth development specialist program facilitator at the Wellness Center. So far at the Wellness Center, it's been great. It's been a work in progress. Like Chris has said, we've been having a lot more visitors come by. Tony and I have been doing a ton of outreach to all the staff and the students in the building, but everything's been going well. Just really excited to be here. I met with Ms. Weidman a couple days ago. Love her energy, and I look forward to seeing what we can do for our students and how we can work together and give them opportunities to be successful, as well as be there for them and help them out with any resources or any needs they may have. Just really excited to be here.
Yes, and thanks. And of course, last but not least, Tiziana, if you want to jump in, introduce yourself. And
sure. I also have Carolyn here, who's amazing. So I'm Tiziana. I am one of the bilingual therapists here at Seneca Valley, but I'm one of the partner agencies, and I've had the honor of working with Lex in the past, and I've met Tony and Brian, and everyone is just so amazing. It's just like already, I feel like it's such a warm place. It's such a healing space, and I think that's what we're trying to do. So we are here to provide the individual counseling, but we understand that one-on-one sometimes is really important, but we're also looking to do groups and maybe also take a not so traditional approach to mental health and look into doing retreats, mental health retreats and wellness, and kind of providing that space for the youth. We know that I think we already have our caseload for, so Alejandra will be the therapist joining us April 11th. I'm kind of the placeholder until then. And I will let Carolyn, she's our colleague here, and she'll be providing the clinical supervision to Alejandra when she comes on board. And she can tell you a little bit about herself and what she's doing at Wheaton and what mental health looks like there, and how obviously we're going to tailor everything differently for Seneca and the population at Seneca, because there are different issues in the different schools, but she can tell you a little bit about what we're doing there. So I don't know if Carolyn, you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn. I'm the bilingual mental health therapist at Wheaton. I work with Lex as well at Wheaton, at our Wheaton Wellness Center. And like Tiziana said, I'll be providing the clinical supervision and just providing support for Alejandra when she starts at Seneca. But at Wheaton, I provide individual, family, and group therapy. Right now, we're running a grief and loss group, and that was just kind of tailored based on the needs that semester. So based on what Alejandra sees and the rest of the Wellness Center team sees at Seneca Valley, I can work with Alejandra to kind of build a curriculum just based on those needs. So if anyone has any questions about how mental health support or mental health services would work, I can provide some insight about that.
I just want to highlight something that I'm incredibly proud about of the team that we brought to Seneca Valley. And as you've all heard, is the depth of experience with this model, with this school-based health and wellness center model. As Lex and Joe have mentioned, we've been partnering at the other wellness centers. We're bringing this successful model to Seneca, but of course, as Tiziana mentioned, ready to respond to the needs that we see, the unique needs that we see in the community, and tailor our services. And I also wanted to highlight, Tiziana has a lot of experience in the Wellness Center. She herself started out in the first Wellness Center that was open here in Montgomery County, Northwood High School, as a youth development specialist. And then she went on to become a therapist. So, you know, she understands the whole picture of the services that we can provide all together. So again, back to Chris to share just a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone for, really just making, like Tiziana said, it is an amazing place already, and it's coming along even further. For example, we just over the weekend, I was off last Friday, and coming back in Monday, my staff had bought like these like flags of the world, like streamer banner things, and just put it up above, like near, like at the top of the wall near the ceiling. And it's amazing how something very like simple, or you would think very simple, it doesn't seem like much when it's not up, but as soon as it's up, you're just like, oh wow. Like, and we've already had students coming in looking for like their flags. This one kid came in, I was like, I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, looking for my flag. Where's Dominican Republic? And I was like, oh, it's Dominicano. And like, we're talking. So, so it's a really great way to connect. And it's already feeling more like a place where the youth can really come in and, like Brian said, be supported, as well as we develop a lot of things that they not only need and they know they need, but also to explore the things that that might be new to them. And, we really are excited to provide that kind of opportunity and space for them, of course. So just really quickly, I was just gonna breeze through some things of kind of what the Wellness Center is, how it came to be, and what we work at within the community at large, and kind of the model approach to it all. And I think I can, yes, perfect. I can share my screen. Someone's on the game. Okay, so the building health and safe schools building healthy and safe school communities is really the ultimate goal for all these wellness centers, of course, which we're already jumping in straight away to do. And we're excited to provide that at Seneca Valley at this point. So the model that is, as it's created, of all the things or facets, excuse me, involved to build this healthy and safe community schools. Of course, the wellness centers, you can see in this little diagram, that there's the county's DHHS is involved with that, which is a lot of our funding. Of course, working with MCPS, the school system, everyone in the community at large, as well as you've met all our youth development partners, the organizations that have presented themselves here. So the model is put together to address all these needs within the wellness center and the school community as a whole. So at its foundation, the wellness center, and a lot of what all of us do in our roles, is build these relationships, which is that exemplified in really what the Wellness Center is, of course. So we're going to build these relationships in a safe and caring environment for learning. So as you can see here, and I'm sure you're already aware of that, outside of, the families and the youth families, the school is really where the young people spend most of their time and have contact with the company of adults. So really the idea there is to be that, or be another, hopefully, adult in that young person's life, to really, nurture and foster and connect them back in with the school, or back in with the community, or deeper in, of course, or wherever the need might be with that young person at the time. So really building relationships and fortifying those relationships is kind of the, in a nutshell, kind of goal of the Wellness Center and everything that we do there day in, day out, whether it's with the young people, with the school, with the community, with the parents. We just are trying to foster and strengthen those relationships. As you can imagine here, our team at the Wellness Center is really positioned. We like to position ourselves in this little box in the keystone area, so to speak, between, and to connect these things, even though a lot of these facets, the school staff, the youth, the parents, the community, the administrators, as well as the Wellness Center are connected already, but we really insert ourselves by building these relationships to make new connections or strengthen the ones that may already exist, to really create, highways out of roads, so to speak, is really what we intend to do to help the students, get to those areas of success and those areas in which they want to be in their lives as they mature. So as I stated before, the Wellness Center really intends to create and foster a safe and supportive space for this within the school, to provide all sorts of programming. We heard of some of them from Emerging Triumphantly, from Tony and Lex, and as well as from Joe and Brian about Dare to Be Kings. Identity, we're also running programs and have been. I've run programs ever since I've been with Identity at Seneca, to one capacity or another. So I'm also really excited to finally be here really all the time, because it is a very exciting school, even in its challenging moments, of course. There's always so much opportunity there, and we're just, again, so excited to be providing this in-house, so to speak. And so we're going to continue providing those programming and services, linking students to different opportunities and meeting those needs that might be there, whether that's developing and fostering leadership, whether that's academic coaching, or linking them and to back with the teachers and to their school teachers to provide that deeper level, or advocate for them, or to push them sometimes into realizing that I need this help, or I need to seek this help, even though they might know that, to mentor on-site health screening and partnership with the somatic health side, the health room side of the Wellness Center. Of course, we support a lot of emotional programs. All of our programs are trauma-informed care focused. We want to support them no matter what the main focus of that program may be, whether it's leadership or community engagement and fortification. It's all trauma-informed, so that we know we are fostering the needs of those young people, and not causing them to suffer some re-traumatization or neglect towards that. Of course, we have mental health counseling, as Tiziana spoke about, and we have a full-time coming in. We already been having plenty of referrals coming in for mental health therapy. And so that's going to be something definitely provided there, as well as family and case management. We take a very holistic approach to our care. So the center is to provide services to all Seneca Valley students, On top of that, we provide case management for those families that are enrolled in our program or are in the school that come and are engaged in the services of the Wellness Center. So I guess obviously the idea there is that we got to take care of things that might be going behind the scenes that isn't like face value right there at school, right? I always think of it as that we need to support them and engage them in ways that so that the students can then focus on what they really need to be focusing in that moment, which is, you know, being a student, being a young person, you know, having fun to and while enjoying their high school time, while developing themselves into their advancing in their lives and maturing. The Wellness Center also seeks to increase protective factors through our programming, through the mentoring and engagement, of course, raising self-esteem and working on conflict resolution skills, self-efficacy levels, to really, you know, bring those up while also simultaneously reducing risk factors such as any kind of substance abuse or substance issues, use issues, involvement in delinquent activities, or of course, school or community at large disconnection. We find that, you know, building those roads, those connections really is what helps fortify students taking a larger interest in their school and the community, and kind of is a self-feedback loop and situation that way. And of course, improving the general health and well-being of the youth and the families through those direct services like case management and community resources, social services, and the like. So we work strongly, and the only way we're successful, of course, is with working very, very closely with these school partners. So again, just over the moon with the reception we've had from the school administration. So really, we're so thankful for Dr. Cohen and his entire team and all the staff at the school. Of course, the teachers are fantastic. The parents, all of you have been so you know, receptive and brought a lot of energy and are helping. And so that's the only way we're really going to be successful in supporting each other, because it takes a village, of course, to build upon and to raise all of each other up to our highest capacity and ability. So we really work with the school leadership, as you see, the students and families, our health partners there on the other side, the somatic health side of them. It's basically, you know, it is a clinic there. They can do a lot of services. I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm sure I'll miss some, but anything they can't do there for the students, they'll be able to refer out. We assist, and we provide all sorts of connections and assistant, you know, helping them fill out forms, helping parents fill out forms, translation. There are different services that we have there. Of course, you all have already been introduced to all the partners within the Wellness Center. Of course, there's individual organizations that encompass the Wellness Center or serve at the Wellness Center. We're all the Wellness Center team. I don't view, you know, the identity staff anymore as my staff as I do with Brian or Tony or anyone like that. So we are all just, you know, we're a team, we're a family. They're collaborating, working together to provide the highest degree of services we can and support. As I mentioned, trauma-informed approach. Of course, this is to provide the safest, the most stable and welcoming, understanding environment for the students and for the staff. We recognize, of course, that there is a prevalence of trauma in, you know, everyone basically, and we don't want to stigmatize or punish that in any way, or make anyone feel like they're not welcome or we're, you know, being judged in any capacity, regardless of what they've experienced. Of course, we acknowledge and understand that prior trauma and its triggers we at least need to be aware of it to prevent that re-injury or the re-traumatization, as I've said before. Of course, we always apply this to all our programs and services, including the somatic health side, working very closely with the nurses and the fantastic staff we have on that end. This is, and again, I don't believe this is the full list of all the services on the clinical side, but there are nurses, multiple nurses on there. There's a school the nurse tech, and they are there to help and serve and link all the students that have any issues or may need services that provide. So as you can see, here's a few, and there are referrals like dental screening and other referrals that can be done out, as well as your basic immunization and supports like that. As far as the youth services side, forgive me, I should back up there. So the Wellness Center as a whole, there are two parts, right? I guess what you see here, the health clinic, what you might think of as your basic school health room side, and well, not your basic, it's an expanded version of that, of course, but you can think of it that way with these additional services that they can provide there on site. In addition, all the Wellness Center staff on the youth services side that are here on the call, in addition to a couple who aren't, provide the programmings that you have heard about, the curriculum based and those groups and those workshops. So we have the youth development specialists, such as Tony and Brian, who are here. We have mental health counselors, Tiziana and Carolyn and her new staff member that's going to be coming very soon, as well as case managers that provide that holistic approach or those wraparound services for the youth and their families. So we're going to have all sorts of programming. I don't know how many we're going to be able to get to before the end of the school year. You know, we're 2.5 weeks in, but as much as I can fit in, I'm going to want to fit in, and I'm excited to do that. We have curriculum based. There's a couple of groups already running. As you heard, workshops starting up with Emerging Triumphantly. We're going to have rec opportunities and other physical activities. We're recruiting students for different soccer things, and Brian is constantly doing outreach, and Joe are fantastic and well connected in that regard. So we're going to do all sorts of opportunities and activities for that, opportunities of SSL. In fact, we have one coming up this Friday. We are going, the city of Gaithersburg is having an event in unison with other wellness centers, as well as just an open thing. They're going to be able to go there and have a good time, meet other students, talk about, you know, youth, raising their youth voices and what it means to do that, and how they can, you know, have their voices heard in a productive way. But at the same time, talk about any kind of things that they might be experiencing, that hurdles and to overcome, and just encourage each other, and they'll receive SSL opportunities for that. We're trying to recruit some students to come in after this Friday. It's a half day. We're going to give them some pizza, do some icebreaker activities, some warm-ups, get to know each other. Then we're going to head down to Gaithersburg, be back all by around 4:30. So just kind of a public service announcement. I don't know how much room there is. We are going to provide some transportation for that. We have a permission slip that's been going around. Brian's been doing a great job getting that around. I don't know how much room is on that bus at this point, but if there is, then we're happy to have students come by and turn in tomorrow at the latest. We have workshop for family strengthening, family needs assessment from the case managers, and of course, as youth services for directly with the youth and their families. This is just a pretty simple model of pretty much everything we have talked about in building that competence, that confidence, that character and caring that we provide for the young people there, and that we connect with them and connect them back to the school. And that kind of feedback that goes around and around is basically what the PYD, the positive youth development, works towards. And again, we know and have seen that this model works in increasing the protective factors, as well as reducing those risk factors that we see. Again, this is the staff. I don't see, I'm sorry, Tiz, your contact name didn't get on here, but this is it. If anyone wants to take a quick picture of this, I'll linger here a minute. But like I think Tony said, you know, call us, email us, just give us a hey, introduce yourself, and ask questions. Definitely send me anything you need. I can definitely clarify if you have any more questions, whether now or later. And we're always looking for people that want to be connected, that can help, that for opportunities, also to connect our students for. So just please let's get a nice communication thread going and just see what we can explore and what we can make happen in support and in creation of the well-being and advancement of all students at the Seneca Valley High School. Just really quickly, briefly, I wanted to show you what our referral that we use for mental health as well. Well, all of our service on the youth services side, as well as the medical side, if there's any need. We often base, at least the mental health services, we give these, this has been widely distributed to all the counselors at Seneca Valley. They've been using it. I get at least, I think I'm pretty sure I've gotten one a day since I first met with all the counselors and that department, like our second day, like March 15th or something it was. I've gotten at least one a day. So these are steadily coming in, and we're steadily getting more and more students coming on their own and ask about things and how we can connect them to different things. Another staff member who's not here, Juan, he's amazing with finding out opportunities. He had put some things out there about, like, and unfortunately this is closed at this point, but free prom dresses was something that was available, I think, through Clarksburg Closet, and different things. So we're constantly looking at things and putting things out there. So have students, have your kids, have your students of, come by, get connected with us, because we are happy to provide all sorts of services and information that might benefit them or will benefit them, and they may be interested to know, as well as excursions to go see movies and different things, fun things like that we're having happening all the time. So really just our key to success is the access to all these services that I just went through, and as well as linking them back to education, their education, and the importance of that and achievement. Of course, that holistic and full wraparound, comprehensive and integrated programs that are designed to meet the specific needs. As you saw, everyone in this call that are partners and are working at the Wellness Center are here because they understand and they know the community, as well as have a lot of, have the cultural competence and background and knowledge to really address the community that is Seneca Valley High School, both within the school and the community at large. The opportunities the youth have to forge this positive and trusting relationship with caring adults and with each other that they build. I know, there's a lot of people that have been in different programs that come back. We were just talking about this the other day in a meeting, how there are young people that could have been basically born on the time when a lot of these things were like happening, that are now coming back and have been linked back and like even work at some of our organizations at some time. So there's all sorts of positive things that can link back, that fortify the community, as well as getting parents and key adults in the youth life supported and reconnected to elevate that parent-child bond and fortify that. So I think that went longer than anticipated, but I don't know if there's any questions. I can definitely, for any one of us at this point, I can stop sharing. But yeah, let me just wrap it up and say how, again, excited and amazed we are with everything that has already happened at Seneca Valley. And I can't wait to do so much more.
I think we've answered there was a couple of questions in the chat which have been answered. So I want to thank you. I mean, it's just wonderful, the services that you offer our kids. This is just going to be great. And it sounds like you've gotten involvement right off the bat with our students. So thank you. And like I said, we will share some of the information. I don't know if you want to share the presentation, and I can always send that out, but we are recording this. So Dr. Cohen will provide the link. So we'll be able to share the link with our parents who are not here tonight, and they'll be able to get this information as well. But I didn't have any additional questions. Any questions from anyone else here?
Ms. Johnson, no question, but I just like to say, wow, And
I know.
thank you. I know, right? And thank you to each and every one of my goodness. Well, first and foremost, thank you to Dr. Cohen and then Ms. Johnson for having times of Zoom meetings such as this for our African-American population. I see that there are all different ethnic backgrounds here that are represented. And so that will definitely bring wellness to the community.
Yeah.
I see somebody said something, Ms. Johnson. I see the title Wellness in MSP. I see the title Wellness and MSP.
Minority Scholars, yes.
I see that, and
I know where you're going.
Yeah, you know I'm going.
Yeah, I know you're going.
I see us linking up and having the students, our student body, having even more of a voice in the school, and somewhere having some kind of activity that shows them how form fits function. They kind of don't know, but if they can kind of grasp how the form of our school will fit the function that they're supposed to be in and what they're supposed to be doing, I know we can grab them all.
Look, we all need your energy. We all just need a little bit of your energy. That's why I love Miss Whiteman. She's my right hand. She's my voice. So anyway, but I want to thank you. I want to thank the whole team for showing up and sharing this information with us. And like you said, even when you hear it, it always seems to be something else that I missed. And there's so many good things that you're doing for our kids. So we thank you for that. And like I said, and we'll make sure we share this so that as many parents as possible can gather this information. All right, and you feel free to stay on. I'm going to share a video in a moment from a young lady, and that's with the AXO competition. And she did a poem for Black History Month, but I thought it was so moving. She had a friend that committed suicide, and she wrote a poem about that experience. And that, like I said, just the way she did it, it was moving. So I wanted to share that with the group, since I failed to do it last month. But again, mental health being one of the issues that the Wellness Center is helping us tackle with our kids, because again, suicide is a very real issue for our kids today. So let me go ahead and try to share that video with you. Let's see. And yes, so I'll go ahead and start. Hopefully you can hear it. And it's Daniela Gagno. Now, Daniela is actually a Northwest High School student, but she is also competing in the AXO competition for Northwest. Seneca Valley also has several students competing, and the AXO competition will be at Montgomery College Sunday, April 10th. So let me go ahead and click. This is Danielle Gagno. I don't have the name of it, but she'll share it with you. Hopefully you can hear it.
Life to suicide, and now a flooded sanctuary. As they read his obituary, the church was filled with ocean, tears filling, falling, flooding the sanctuary. A simple service with a simple message, leaving everyone with a simple statement. The ocean evaporated into fog, thick, heavy smoke, where refuge was the line. If only we'd known. If only we saw the signs earlier. That sentence was the sentence that saw the heaviness in the air, that cut the cloud of grief, allowing guilt to find refuge in ignorance and bliss. Hashtag, his death was a tragedy and he will surely be missed. Hashtag, we have to stop letting suicide take the lives of our kids. A short article on a local paper, a moment of silence in his school. 1 month after they read his obituary, everything went back to normal, but mother was yet to return to his room filled with memories of breastfeeding her young baby, playing with cars as he started aging, reading together books, coloring pictures of princes, but now mother's prince lay buried, so her hands shook as she opened the door. Flooding her head were images of her baby on the floor with pills spilling from his hand, pale face, rolled back eyes. Mother could no longer stand, so she fell to the floor, wailing, exclaiming, if only we'd known. Again, Her guilt found refuge in the statement that everyone had grown familiar in saying. Her eyes, wet like rainforest, fell to the corner of a bed, to a letter, which seemed to be shining so bright. So mother picked up the envelope with the inscription, "In case I lose the fight." She sat against the bed, and guilt could no longer take refuge because of what he wrote in that letter. As she read, she wept. This letter wasn't a sorry. It wasn't a, "it's not your fault." This letter told of a mental prison, and if only you'd listen instead of dismissing me. This letter was a list of signs that they miss, how he stopped eating and became skitty, yet nobody asked, rather told him he needs to gain more weight, increase his body mass so he could be better at football. The sign that he couldn't sleep, and they told him to close his eyes, that he stays up too late, always on his phone, which was always on silent, which never rung when he needed it to. How he learned to keep quiet. How he learned that it was just a phase. Now he laid dead. They tried to explore what could have been resolved when one night he came knocking on his parents' door and told them he was sad. And his father got mad for waking him up. Mother said a good diet would lift his spirit. None of them would hear him, but they always claimed to listen. Always said they'd be there, but they kept their promise by being there, but they were never present, never gifted their kid with their full attention, never tried to understand, only always gave him a lesson, lessening his ability to speak, to talk. So when he walked alone in his head, where iron bars formed around his consciousness. Prison, gray, empty, dark was what he saw when he closed his eyes. So he always wanted to keep them open. Became a plate and kept piling, kept filling with stuff, with football, with debate, with basketball. He'd come home late so he wouldn't have to be alone with himself and his thoughts. But every night depression came to the gate of his prison and knocked and knocked and knocked. At first he told depression that the prison was locked, until depression smiled and said, "I have a place for the lost," and knocked and knocked and knocked, until knocking was the only thing he heard, until the knocking resembled the rattle of a pill bottle, until the knocking resembled the rattle of a pill bottle. He reached for mom and dad one last time, telling them what was going on. They told him, "You're a good kid. You'll be fine. It's just hormones." And in that moment, depression knocked again and told him to look at how much he is alone. So the knocking began. The unbearable beating of the brain caused him to switch lanes and forget everything that he knows, steer off that cliff, because in that moment, those bottles of pills offered him home. So suicide became an SOS, and he became roommates with death. The end of the letter solemnly read, "It's not your fault, Mommy. Neither is it mine. In case I lose the fight, please tell the people that prison begins to form when people become dismissive. So instead of just mourning for me, ask yourself, how can I make sure to listen?" Rest in peace, my dear friend. Thank you. This poem is in loving memory of one of my friends who recently...
Okay, let me turn it off. I just wanted to, hang on, I just wanted to share that. 1 second. Okay, there you go. All righty. Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. It is very, very moving. Very moving. And everyone that heard it, kind of reacted the same way. And in her way, she's saying that, we cannot be dismissive. Our children are having real issues and we got to pay close attention to them. So at least now the kids at Seneca Valley have an option. They have the Wellness Center there. They have resources that they can go to. So anyway, I thought that was appropriate. All right, I will continue with the agenda. With Dr. Cohen, I'll give you, a couple of minutes to share anything else that you have before I, let the group go.
Sure. So it's hard to follow that. I think that I might want to let my report stand with that statement, to be honest with you, Ms. Johnson. I can share with you that we remain vigilant on behalf of our kids. Our staff cares deeply about your children and is I'm frequently in awe of the generosity of spirit that shines through in every day at our building. These have been challenging times, but they do not define our community. What defines our community is how it has pulled together and responded to these challenges. And I'm grateful to you for sharing that video and for making the connection with the gifts that the Wellness Center are providing. I'm grateful that the folks who are viewing this recording have an opportunity to share this experience with us as well. We know that many of them, there are many parents out there who are viewing this recording, and so thank you for that. Yeah, I don't want to diminish that any more than I already have by giving some kind of a bland report. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, great. No, thank you. All right. Well, if there are no more comments, I want to once again thank all of our guests for joining us this evening. This has been wonderful. And again, we're going to try to get this out to as many of our Seneca Valley community members as we can. And I'll let everyone else get back to your evening, and hopefully you can enjoy dinner if you haven't already had it. Okay, well, I thank you once again.
Thank you.
Great job, Ms. Johnson.
All right, I'll give you a call, Ms. Whiteman. Okay. And then Dr. Cohen, you can, once you get the recording, you can let me know.
Of course, I'll have it for you tomorrow. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Feel better.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay.